You're live on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show fan page can be found at Martin Houston Live on Facebook and YouTube. Also, you can check us out at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter and at Tide109.com. We're live and local and ready to get things rolling right here on the Martin Houston Show. So I want to invite you to join us on the conversation at 205 342 9904. 205 342 9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. So glad to have you with us. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. A lot of craziness going on around the sports world. We'll get caught back up on everything happening. Get your thoughts on some things from the past weekend, as well as big news last night, as the mighty Auburn Tigers succumb to the Arkansas Razorbacks, and I guess Bruce Pearl got his comeuppance when. Arkansas head coach takes off his shirt in their post game win celebration. I guess, we were talking earlier about the crane and all of that stuff and whether or not how you feel about coaches being a part of the celebration or not. So I guess he got his comeuppance. We'll talk about that as well as look at Alabama versus Ole Miss, and we'll look at a couple other things, and we'll also close out the show with Scotty Hollins. Before we do that, I want to remind you that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. All right. Eggs, I guess the quick review is, what are your thoughts about that horrible Bama game from this past weekend?
Yeah, that's probably some of the ugliest I've seen Alabama play in a long time. 3 for 30 from 3 point. At some point you got to realize, hey, this isn't working. So we got to make an adjustment, try a different game plan. You can't just keep jacking up threes, especially when you look at the fact Bama only lost that game by 11 points. It's like, hey, you're in it, you're competing, it's not working, stop doing it, try something new, and Bama might have had the opportunity to come out on top.
Yeah, you could feel that at some point. It's like, okay, eventually you got to change or do something different. But I don't know if this team has the pedigree to do something different. So as Bama fans, I think we're just gonna have to wait it out and see if the shot comes back and they maintain the effort that they had. I mean that they've been given since the Georgia game. If they can maintain that effort and get the shot to fall, then we're going to be looking at a team that no one is going to want to play uh, in the tournament. So, but we'll keep talking. We'll keep our eyes on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree with that. The intensity and the effort has been there. It's just the shot selection has been so bad.
Yeah, now let's look at Auburn. Auburn, took care of business last week against Alabama. Um, and everything, but then went over to Georgia and I think got some number one cooking throughout that game, but especially on the game winning, two pointer where I'm not saying he charged or not, but either he charged or there was a blocking call that should have been called, but neither one was called in that scenario. So, you have to wonder, did they get a little look love there? And so I think someone started saying, "Hey, this team played tired against Auburn. I mean, against Georgia, and then of course a red hot Arkansas team took care of business against the Auburn Tigers."
Yeah, Arkansas came out, played a great game last night. took it to overtime, was able to come out on top of it with the victory, ending Auburn's 19-game winning streak, which was the longest in the nation at the time. Uh, but what I love about it is, as an Alabama fan, is you know we like to have Alabama fans doing talking about the Arkansas beating us when you couldn't beat us. But the kicker is, this is the same fan base a month ago that was all over the uh, the fan base was all over the Georgia bandwagon when they beat Alabama in the national championship game. So it's like, are y'all really gonna come out and say something a month later when y'all were having a field day picking at us after losing at Georgia? But you're the number one team in the nation now, and you don't expect to get it back.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch how some of the fan bases. I think it's been interesting on both sides. X how
Yeah.
fan bases kind of have the other side of the shoe in terms of what's happening with uh, fan interaction. In other words, Auburn. This is new territory for Auburn fan bases. Period. Their football team in the history of their program, I think, has been number one like 9 times. I'm talking about period. Any regular season, after the season, or anything. Basketball had never been number one. So they've never had to deal with being the team that's been hunted for an extended period of time as the best. And so they're used to jumping on the other team's bandwagon and love to hate Bama and whoever uh, um, you know, I guess Alabama's rivalry is whoever they're playing and whoever can beat Alabama. So for Bama fans, it's been, I guess, kind of fun waiting to see the cookie crumble on the court, and that finally happened last night as Arkansas. But the negative part of that, Xavier, is we have to play that Arkansas team.
Yeah.
And what was that their ninth win in a row? I think something like that. Aren't they on some type of winning streak as well?
Yeah, they're on a pretty good run right now.
So, all that did was just make our schedule tougher. It really doesn't give us anything as far as the wins for our upcoming team. Doesn't make us feel any better about where things sit. So it's very interesting scenario there in terms of Bama fans. We're excited that some Bama fans are excited that Auburn lost. The problem is the team that beat them is waiting on us right after this particular Ole Miss game, which we'll talk about on the other side of what Alabama needs to do. Before we get to break, did you have something you want to share?
Yeah, I actually want to talk about. I'm sure you probably mentioned it, Santonio Beard losing his life this weekend, and what Santonio Beard meant to me as a Alabama fan. 2001 was the year I really got into football, and I can remember these 20 years later, me and you sitting there watching the Iron Bowl down in Auburn, and where Andrew Zal, Galloway, and Santonio Beard went off that game, and he had 199, and I sit look at you at team and go, "Hey, man, I really wish he got that 200." And you looked at me, you said, "You remember that play where he went out of bounds instead of dropping his shoulder? That was his 200-yard play." And Santonio and his 5 touchdown game against Ole Miss the next year. So Santonio Beard, rest in peace to him, his family. He was a huge part of my love for Alabama. He and get me really on that path of being a true Alabama fan.
That's awesome. That's it. X with X's and O Sports. You listen to the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. We'll be back on the other side, talk a little Ole Miss and Alabama basketball.